When I lock in my mind, I lose sense of the time. On this journey I find, I turn water to wine. I tune into the soul, then I find my bliss. Turn lead to gold, it's the alchemist.
What's going on, world? It's your boy Gemini Brown here, back with another episode of Astrological Knowledge. Today, we'll be continuing our talk on how to integrate astrology into your life to garner the best results. And we'll be going through discussing backwards thinking for all signs. So I hope you guys can keep up. Let's get into it. Before we get into it, I'm seeking 2 more students to join a Sunday class in which we'll be discussing specifically for a couple weeks ancestral astrology. I'll be showing you how to understand the themes within your own chart even more via the charts of others in your family. This is a really cool part of astrology, and I feel like it's a great segue into the talk that we're having. And that starts with the idea that there are different branches of astrology. There are different things to focus on. And anybody is welcome to focus on whatever they would like. And really, whatever's in your chart is really going to showcase why you're interested in the type of things you are. What I'm focusing on here, and a lot of this I believe is predicated on the fact that I'm the combination that I am. I'm a Gemini sun with a Virgo moon and rising, both sides of Mercury, which within myself, I know that I don't just care about information. I love it. Just like anybody, I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, that sounds good. But the Virgo in me, the earth in me is very concerned with getting practical use out of whatever I'm learning, applying it in the correct ways. So anybody who's been watching me, I'm sure you got or is interacting with my energy. I'm sure you understand that about myself. Hence why I'm going into this path of astro coaching. And if this is like your first time on this channel, you don't know, I offer astro coaching and mentorship, which essentially allows us to dive into astrology, but offers you the assistance and accountability of a coach, myself. So if you're interested in that, feel free to reach out. So as I said, I'm highly concerned with the practicality of the information and utilizing it correctly. But it all starts with understanding it correctly. And that's why I kind of talked about in the previous video, understanding certain dynamics and coming into the acceptance of certain aspects, positions, placements in your own chart. And when you do, that's a form of letting go and letting God, letting the chart do what it will. Okay. One of the first things that I want to do is show you the benefits of thinking in a more structured a more structured and I want to say honest way, because it's about acknowledging the archetype, which shows you the range of possibilities within the energy. So I give an example. Most people on the surface level will say, oh, Geminis are disloyal. They're likely to be the biggest cheaters in the Zodiac. And this can be said for any other sign. A lot of this, remember, is going to be influenced on hearsay as well as a little our own personal bias and all of that. When you understand astrology, the first thing is that we accept that no two Geminis are the same. And we accept the fact that Gemini, if you're talking about their sun sign, well, that's only giving a slither of information into their actual relationship dynamics. We know we would have to look at the moon and Venus, right? So when you acknowledge that, you're able to kind of look at people and you appreciate the individuality of each person's consciousness. And like, oh, wow, this person is a Cancer moon with this Gemini sun. wow, like that must make them, there's going to be unique things about their own makeup that's going to differ from other Geminis. And we haven't even gotten into house placement. But I want to get here. It's like when you're thinking in this way, you're really able to see certain things. So going along with this idea, just as an example of, let's say, people unconsciously, without doing the proper research, assuming all Geminis are unfaithful or whatever. When we look at an astrology chart in the correct context, we know that Gemini energy values communication. We know that it values variety and stimulation. A lot of times, as a practicing astrologer, I've seen many Geminis themselves, Gemini suns, Venus in Geminis, be a part of long-standing marriages. And when you examine the why behind that within the Gemini person's chart, there are things that allow for the ability to really shine or have those qualities expressed or stimulated in another area, which frees up or places less expectation on their actual relationship. Let's say this person is Venus in the 4th house in Gemini, and this results in them having a career in which they can work from home, or their career allows them to travel. This expression is stimulating or giving purpose to the Gemini energy, which I would say for the Venus in Gemini person who's more of a philanderer, they are understimulated in that area. So therefore seeking extramarital affairs or whatever as a means of stimulation. So there's a way in which when you have to think the astrology. There's no way of just saying, oh, this position's in this house. I remember what these astrologers said, and that's what it is. No, it's so much more unique. And that brings me to another thing I can mention here for those listening that are going to reach out in the future. If you're going to reach out to Gemini Brown, remember, I offer different options. So if we're not going to have a session, a face-to-face session, you wanted me to send you a video, you should be able to tell me the things about yourself that you deem important, along with the things that you want to understand in the reading. So as you continue to grow, we want to think in this way. Okay, this is what this placement says, or these are the possibilities, the possible correspondences of this placement. How can I benefit from this? What is the tangible or practical expression or use for this in my life? That is the thinking you want to focus on, because that'll always lead you to being in alignment. Okay? Getting into it further, I think another thing we have to acknowledge is that astrology is a lifelong study. I, as an astrologer, am always learning new things about astrology, therefore my own self. So remember this, because I know there are many of you out there that are naturally going to want to read for others and things like that. But remember, this isn't for everybody. And you're not if you can't help yourself with it, you can't help anyone else with this. Most important thing. But along with that is the more you know yourself, the more you're going to know how the astrology can play out in other ways. So this kind of goes, like I said, hand in hand with people who seek out a reading, but don't have the adequate words to express what it is that they're seeking from the reading. So when we finally get into the meat of the information, the planets, the signs, the houses, take your time to really understand, particularly the planets, what that planet is representing, and then how it's playing out in your life. Once you get the understanding of what this planet represents, you got to keep thinking on it. Then you start to see and ponder how it's played out in your life. you start to combine the actual expression, you'll be able to start to see the varying degrees of the singular archetype. Now, that's a whole nother thing. The smart people are going to Google archetypes and look into that. But that's at the core of this thinking, and also a big thing within astro matrix mysticism. If you want to know more about that, join my Patreon, check out some videos I got there, and reach out. Check out my book, Astrology of the Matrix, as well. So you want to just start there with the combination and then start to ease in. But I think the problem is everyone wants to know. Once they know what the thing is doing, so we feel like every time we see one position, sun in the 5th house, it's always going to entail those things. Well, it's not, because we got aspects. Aspects is going to add to and give it another depth. And being honest, I know that's kind of where the separation of real understanding occurs when we really get into aspects. But like we said, these are the levels you got to push yourself to. So a lot of this takes reflection. It takes acknowledgement. And then you'll start to see the energy and positions in a wider range. So that's more practical advice on how to approach. What I'm going to do now is get into backwards thinking for each sign. What I'm seeking to accomplish here with this is showing you, essentially saying, like, if you have this energy and you think you can get away with doing this type of thing and not doing this type of thing, that's backwards thinking. All right. So I'm sure everyone will be able to follow me here. Let's start with Aries. If you have Aries energy, you're Aries dominant any type of way, and you think in life it's okay to not take, if you believe that you can treat others however you want when you're in whatever type of mood and there'll be no repercussions for that or social drawback, that's backwards thinking. Reason being, Aries deals with the projection of the self and the confidence that comes from that projection. So there are many things in which we're here to experience with the Aries archetype, but one of them just being the ability to lead and be in control of ourselves, our vehicle, right? You come into this world alone, and, you know, although you're nurtured and you come into a family, eventually life is prepping you to come into the ability to lead and take control of your life in whatever way you see. Wherever your Aries is going to show the things you naturally gravitate towards and how you want to do that. The next part of social dynamics, we know with Aries is ruled by Mars, it's aggression. Opposite sign is Libras. So once we start projecting this self, ultimately we're going to find others, and how we project ourselves affects others. These are important things with the Aries archetype, and I could make 10-minute videos on all of these, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of the flavor on how to channel these energies. So an Aries should be self-oriented towards progressing and becoming more of who they want to be. Major point of growth and evolution for Aries is going to be their emotional or social IQ, being more conscious of how their actions affect others. Taurus. This is a great one, particularly for the modern age. If you have Taurus energy and you want things in life and you don't want to work for them, that's backwards thinking. Ultimately, Taurus is about survival and the gathering of resources. At this current iteration in life, there's no better option to gather resources than to put in work or work for and trade time, resources, whatever, to get what you want. So in Taurus, if you lack hustling is something that if you try, you're going to figure it out. So if you're a Taurus and you're unwilling to find a hustle out here, that's backwards thinking. Because then I can just keep going and show you, you'll be broke. You'll be broke. If you don't got nowhere to stay, you're gonna stink. And we know Taurus doesn't want to be broke. We know they don't want to stink. And we know they want to keep food on the table. All right? If you are Gemini, if you have Gemini energy and you are unwilling to express your thoughts or communicate them in some way, that is backwards thinking. If you're a Gemini and you're not trying new things, oh my God, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're right. If you're not following your creative or curious whims, you are not growing or expanding. And furthermore, by not expressing not expressing your deeper thoughts, you're cutting off the connection with your inner self. And that's very much so what Gemini is about, developing and expressing the connection between lower and higher self. If you are Cancer and you are unwilling to face your emotions, that's backwards thinking. If you're a Cancer and you don't want to feel, and you want to just have one type of emotion all the time, that's backwards thinking. You're here to feel the gamut of emotions. And that's really a superpower here in this life, okay? For the Cancers and the water signs. It's a lot dealing with the water, but the water, when you get control of them tides, they can work very well for you. So with Cancer, the biggest thing is the emotional processing. So you can't repress or not want to cry. This is what you're here to do, right? That's crybabies, right? So allow yourself to benefit from everything that comes with those abilities, okay? Cancer, I could also say, if you don't want to nurture, at minimum, yourself or your dreams, nurturing, remember, it's not just about nurturing a baby or whatever, nurturing things, your dreams, wherever Cancer is going to show what you're going to want to nurture. So those who have Cancer in the third house may naturally have a relationship with their siblings that they want to nurture them, or they had to, kind of play the mother role to them. So if you think you can get away in life with being like selfish, this kind of happens with the Aries Cancer square. It's like, fuck, man, like, what about me? It's like, hey, you're here to worry about you and them, right? So acknowledge that. After nurture is not all about me, okay? Leo, check this one out. Check this one out. If you're a Leo and you never want to pop your shit, you're fucking bugging. That is complete backwards thinking. No, the dope thing about this one is that it goes back to the idea of ego and how to use ego. We're all given something within life that can serve as the foundation for our ego, so we can pop our shit and be within our Leo. So the key thing I would say, like, with this is knowing what realm of life you could be arrogant and boisterous, right? There's an audience for that. Wherever that Leo is, that's your range, you know what I'm saying, to be that way. Leos, it goes back again to like fear, or like this, it's tricky. Like this could be fear being seen. That's what I'm saying. Remember, you Leo type, rising especially, like you want that shit. It's about being real with yourself about that. This is an interesting one, I'm telling you, because a lot of people can not hide themselves, but not be real about what it is they want. And then this could be your classic hater on others because they're not living it how they want to. So like I said, Leo, you're here to pop your shit. And if you don't have at least one realm of life in which you feel confident doing so, it's backwards. Virgo, rather simple. Okay. If you're not willing to understand there's a process to everything, which comes into like the details, right? That's backwards thinking. Virgo is where we learn, is like where we learn the why. As I told you before, it's the other side of Mercury, where it's like, okay, I just learned this, but what do I do with this? Or it's kind of like Virgo's kind of like this. Anything you have in life, just know that there's a procedure or there's a technical way in which that thing came about. There's a certain attention to detail that the folks had to have in order to develop it, right? Or also keep in mind that nothing is perfect. So if you're a Virgo and you are unwilling to accept the flaws, your own flaws, it's backwards. The gift here is that you're here to work out your flaws, perfect those motherfuckers. Okay. I want to say like this, like in Virgo, it's like you either, because it's opposite of Pisces, which is the ultimate victim mentality, but there's a victim mentality in Virgo too. It's kind of like I said, not wanting to acknowledge like I can even say hierarchy, but Virgo kind of shows that like there's an order to things, even yourself, like maintenance, care, all of that. Like we can't get away with not doing certain shit, or thinking that like, if we thought that like, yeah, God just said, let there be light, boom, and that was it. That's craziness, right? That's the beauty of life. The more you grow, the more you figure out like, oh, these are the facts. These are the details. Okay. Libra, if you are unwilling to ignite, it's similar to Virgo, but it's in a different realm. If you are unwilling to acknowledge your own need for balance, which is like discipline and self-control, that's backwards thinking. Libra is where we're forced to acknowledge, after like in Virgo, we acknowledge like this is how things work. Libra's kind of like, this is like the consequence of not acknowledging Virgo, imbalance, if that makes sense to you. So Virgo has to acknowledge where they, like what's for them and what isn't for them. This could be within the realm of people. This could be within social dynamics. Okay. But ultimately, on the opposite end of Aries is like where Aries, by projecting themselves in alignment with their true self, others attract towards them. For Libra, it's about acknowledging the social dynamics needed, let's say, to fit in one realm, but then also the dynamics needed to just have peace and balance. Okay? So we're looking at it in a multitude of ways. So then we come to Scorpio. This is simple. I don't even want to spend too much time on this because I want y'all to really get the message here in Scorpio. If you're unwilling to acknowledge that people, anyone, could be the womb you came out of, hence why the moon is debilitated in Scorpio. If you're unwilling to acknowledge that anyone is capable of betrayal or deception, or the things that are opposite of Libra in a sense, unfairness, right? Fuck peace, right? If you're unwilling to acknowledge the shadow per se of things, that's backwards thinking. Scorpio teaches us about our inner psychology. It's like, all right, someone comes out to be a serial killer. Scorpio is going to show us what led there, like, yeah, what led to that, okay? Whether it be via the psychology or, things like betrayal. So it's rather simple. If you're unwilling to acknowledge that, okay, there's more I could say with Scorpio, but I'm going to leave it at that one. But remember, psychology, which is an important part about being human. If you are unwilling to search for meaning behind your experiences, it's kind of like what I was saying before in Virgo, or this being the opposite of Gemini. If you just let information be information, someone tells you a story and you're like, oh, great story, and you never ponder the dynamics of that story, that's backwards thinking. Sagittarius is the pursuit of truth. So in the sequence of evolution after Scorpio, it's like, I went through some real ass shit. Now or I experienced betrayal or lies. I need to seek something greater. I need to seek out some type of truth, right? If you're unwilling to commit, remember, second place from Scorpio, the original 8th house of intimacy. If you're unwilling to commit to something, someone, a dream, that's backwards thinking. So with like Sagittarius, because in this day, one of my favorite things along my journey of being an astrologer was working with the 9th house in Sagittarius and realizing, like, first thinking like, oh, okay, higher education, college. But then also realizing like, oh, college or higher learning for everyone is different. And ultimately it's like when you learn something valuable or a skill, Sagittarius in the 9th house is like the implementation of that in your life, not just for practical use, but for spiritual enrichment, something that keeps you not just motivated, but aware in a sense, okay? It's the teachings of the Father as well, which if you explore that, you'll gain further understanding of Sagittarius, okay? Capricorn, the last earth sign. So once again, if you're unwilling to work, that's backwards. But if you're willing to take control of your, let's say, professional or societal responsibilities, opposite to Cancer, right? Cancer says, oh, once you learn about the home, I have to be responsible for my family, their well-being, their security, all of that. When you go into the realm of business, Capricorn, or a projection of a professional within society, there's a societal responsibility that comes with that. So I can speak as an experiences as a teacher. You learn so much, like particularly working with kids. It's like, we all know as adults, we have a life and shit could be going on, right? But let's say something is going on while you're there at work. When that bell rings and you know those kids are coming in, all of that, it goes out the way. And I tune into Capricorn on my 10th house, like, oh, I have a job to do, right? Just like, and that's anybody. So if you're unwilling to realize that there are greater responsibilities in life outside of, let's say, yourself or your family, that's not only backwards thinking, but you can never really be great. There's another trap here too within Capricorn too, of like closed-mindedness. Depending on how your chart is configured, maybe you're very family oriented, but your greater abundance or professional outcome relies on expansion in societal realms and things like that. So having to think differently, act differently, right? So you want to pay attention to that with Capricorn. If you just want to be comfortable and stick to who you know, you're not tapping into Capricorn. You're all the way on the side of Cancer. Aquarius, rather simple. I want to give you the perspective of Aquarius in this way. And it's so important right now. In Aquarius, from Capricorn to Aquarius, we learn never to put too much faith in the structure of society. It's just how the saying says, history repeats itself. Things are going to change. Things in society particularly. So if you're unwilling to adapt towards radical societal changes, i.e. something like racism, that's backwards thinking. Oh, guys, I say this to my loved ones all the time. I think so much about racism all the time. Not because I experience it, but just because I can't believe that was like a real long period of time in this country. Like, and like how that I'm witnessing the 180, you know, free love and all these things. And so it just makes me think like, damn, there are people alive that were 100% on board of keeping shit a particular way, and that changed, right? So the fact is, you're either going to accept that change or you're going to remain fixed in some outdated type of thinking and all of that, which will eventually lead to you being a societal outcast, right? Like things like that. So if you're unwilling, that's a big one for Aquarius. And then on a more personal side, if you're unwilling, like Aquarius could be like this, because remember, it's like funny things. So like you could have like a funny voice, or there could be something you don't like about yourself that if you unwilling to acknowledge that like you just different in this way and that everyone has their differences, that's backwards thinking. Okay. Lastly, Pisces. Also very simple. It encompasses everything. But in a real sense, drawing back on Scorpio in the shadow, if you're unwilling to realize that, you know, this is the thing for Pisces, something like this. Bad things happen to good people sometimes. There are power struggles. People clearly do wrong shit. And that just all goes into the shadow of creation, right? Duality. It leads back to that. So I put it like this. The people who remove them, and then Pisces is a great one because homelessness is explored here and all of that. Like, remember, because you have, like, let's say people are drifters. Someone, the homeless person in society that is there because they rejected the idea of having to work, or that, you know, capitalism is how shit functions and that they'd rather not do anything than be a part of that. That's backwards thinking. Remember, I say all that to say this. We're here to have an experience in life. If this is a game, if you consider it a game, a school, whatever, you're here to evolve. I think at minimum, we all know that. And evolution or growth, it can be painful. And that leads us back to like Saturn. So, this is my interpretation of backwards thinking, as well as how to utilize astrology more practically. Feel free, chime in. Let me know if you enjoyed this. If you need a reading, check my website. Check out my book, Astrology of the Matrix. Till next time, peace.